You're at the beginning of a grand adventure you'll chart from Hampshire College and continue, well, who knows where. I do know that when you are making a big transition, people give you a lot of advice. I'm a firstborn, a mother to 4, including 2 teenagers, and kind of a do-goody type. So I could give you a lot of advice, but I'm going to try not to. Here's what I can say, though. Look around you, because some of the folks may feature prominently in your life this year, and some of these folks will be important to you in the coming years and maybe for many more years than that. And whatever it is that you do or think while you're here, the classes or the projects or the friendships or the jobs, they will probably be, in some way you can't imagine right now, critical in the unfolding of whatever happens after this college education is complete. For me, this is entirely true because in some way I've never completely left Hampshire. Now, I don't want to be an old person boring you with what I studied or what I do now, but you're probably thinking about classes and projects and wondering what you might do here. I liked the idea of Hampshire because the way it's structured, I figured I wouldn't have to study science. I didn't like science in high school, and I pretty much managed to avoid it. My Division II, my concentration, was filed in the School of Natural Science. And indeed, I had taken a bunch of science courses by the end of my 3rd year here. I was drawn to natural science through my interest in women's health. Beyond the classroom, I helped to start a 5-college activist group focused on abortion and reproductive rights. We worked with the Civil Liberties and Public Policy program here at Hampshire to organize a speak out about abortion. The 5-college group was called Jane, named after the underground collective that provided women with abortion services before the Roe v. Wade decision made abortion legal. The speak out had maybe 30 people in attendance, including the speakers. A couple of years after I graduated, I worked with CLIP as a staff person before it was the gigantic program it is now. The first abortion and reproductive justice conference we pulled together didn't have a huge attendance. Decades later, it's a national event drawing over 1,000 people each April, and you should mark your calendars now, first weekend in April. It's an amazing event. So I'm going to fast forward through the old person portion here to say that after working with CLIP for 7 or 8 years, I'd simultaneously gone to graduate school and earned my MFA in writing. Go figure. I served as a trustee at Hampshire and came to know it from yet another angle. I became more impressed with Hampshire year by year. Now it's been 30 years since I was sitting where you're sitting, and I can't quite believe that. At the time, I do remember a couple of things I thought about Hampshire, though. I thought it was a place where I could study things I cared about, and I thought it was a place that valued learning through not simply classroom-based study, but by doing. Interdisciplinary wasn't a tired word in education at that time. In fact, it was kind of new. And Hampshire, although this was totally lost on me for many years from that first fall as a student here, was only commencing its 2nd decade. It wasn't even, in college years, a tween. It was still extremely novel, and because of that, I don't think Hampshire entirely knew what Hampshire had to offer yet either. On the one hand, Hampshire totally knows what it has to offer by now, so breathe easy. I am certain you'll have fantastic guidance to navigate divs and courses and housing and additional expectations. And on the other hand, you are going to help Hampshire learn what Hampshire's yet to know about its resources and its potential and itself. You will be helping the college to remain not experimental, but to keep experimenting, the verb. A willingness to experiment allows Hampshire to continue its evolution. You strengthen its fabric as you change it. That is how Hampshire works. Thinking back, I know my parents didn't understand Hampshire. The no grades part wasn't such a big deal to them. The no major part was daunting. The how anyone in the outside world or graduate school admissions understands your education, that was really daunting to them. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but their supporting my desire to attend this relatively new school represented a leap of faith on their parts too. My mother went to Radcliffe, and here's what she said to me. Well, I went to this fancy school and I don't remember a thing I learned there, so I guess if you want to go somewhere that allows you to learn what you care about, you might actually remember your education. Good mom. I'm going to tell her she got an ovation. I also remember her calling me one day. Well, I called her over the payphone. Collect, it was way before cell phones. And she told me that she'd met a woman who graduated from Hampshire and was getting her PhD at NYU in psychology. Someone finished Hampshire and went on to do a real thing. She sounded equally excited and relieved by this. This past year, I returned to Hampshire to help pull together a project that we launched over this past summer, which is when I met Jonathan. 3 programs at Hampshire, the Lemelson Center, the Farm Center, and the Center for Youth and Learning, teamed up with the Enchanted Circle Theater in Holyoke and the Eric Carle Museum just paces away from here to create some summer programming for teen parents at Holyoke's Care Center and youth at East Hampton's Treehouse Community. Treehouse serves youth transitioning from foster care into adoptive families. And I'm just going to say that I'm a parent to 3 children I gave birth to and 1 who I adopted, and she's just 3. So Treehouse Communities is a place I pretty much revere. Some of the teens from Treehouse worked at Hampshire's farm camp as counselors in training. Learning about where food comes from included milking cows and grinding wheat. The young moms from the Care Center, where they are working to earn their GEDs, spent a week on the farm and a week in Lemelson's machine shop. Learning how things work by dealing with fiery torches in the machine shop provided not only some science, but art, along with a crash course in courage and an unexpected dose of self-esteem building. Perhaps most importantly, college was not an idea, it was something experienced. One thing we all rediscovered this summer as we brought new students into the Hampshire fold was that there's a pretty direct correlation between risk-taking and learning. Leaps of faith, and thus being able to chance failure, are essential to the kind of learning that matters. I see it with my 3-year-old all the time. When she's trying to master something new, she's tentative at first, but when she's in it, she's in, whole body, whole heart, and that's when she achieves mastery and inevitably learns through some trial and error along the way. She's got one of those pedalless balance bikes, and it's been so amazing to watch her figure out finding her balance. Now that she has a sense of balance, she practically flies on 2 wheels. I guess if I have any advice to you, it's that I hope you take risks here. One's of the mind and one's of the heart. I firmly believe you'll be glad you did. As we find ways to build stronger relationships between the college and the 2 community programs, Care Center and Treehouse Community, one thing is for sure. We didn't provide a service. We, as in this institution that is Hampshire College, were changed. We all learned together and we all learned from one another. So you can see why I've stuck around. The following your passion and learning in all kinds of ways traits that made me want to come here were spot on. Hampshire did know itself from the beginning. That's exactly what it offered and continues to offer you. For that reason, I am thrilled for you, and I am, as someone who loves this place and respects it more than I can really say, very eager to hear what you do with your time here. I'm sure you'll surprise your families, your professors, and many others, and I'm absolutely certain you will surprise yourself. Thank you.